Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here. It's Sunday the 1st of September 2024. Right, we're back on the Bonnie, having worked recently on the Hurricane for a bit of respite. But we're back on the Bonnie because the parts are in. I don't mean the hammer, although that might come in handy. We've been waiting for quite a few bits and pieces we've had on order to go through the final completion list, which we're going to carry on with, and hopefully with these parts, instead of going through the list sort of randomly checking bits off, we can go from top to bottom. So what's come in? So we've got the Tri-Spark 6-volt coils are in, and underneath there as well, you can't see, but down there there's two leads, ignition leads and plug caps, and that's because we need to make sure we've either got suppressed caps or suppressed plugs, but not both. And as I'm going to be using old-fashioned plugs, which I don't think are suppressed, then we've got suppressed caps. So that's good. Now, on that note, just before I go on to the other parts, let me just point out that the coils that I've taken out of the Bonnie are 17M12, so they're 12-volt coils, which were on the, was it a Boyer Branston unit that we chucked away? I've still got it, so I'll check. But anyway, looking up, the information for that kit, then it's a bit vague because it says, for low compression engines, then 12-volt coils are all right, but for high compression, then there should be 6-volt. Well, I would class, a 750 Bonnie as having a reasonable amount of compression. So I would have thought that it should have had 6-volt coils for optimum performance, which is what Greg thought as well. So I'm glad we're changing the coils out, actually. I'm just having a look in the box because I think somewhere in it, perhaps we haven't. I thought somewhere in there was the original. It is. It's here. Look at that box, and it is it's a Boyer Branston 3. Oh, and the labels come off, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Boyer Branston Mark 3. So that's probably even worse than the, what they call it, Micro Mark 4 now. So I think what we're doing can only be an improvement. So that's good. So that's the coils are in. Working down, we've got the new flasher unit. They've sent us a housing for it, which we don't need. Also there we've got, those are the new drain screws to go onto the fork sliders, because the ones that are on it are not a matched pair, not the right stuff. I just hope they haven't mashed up the threads. These are the seat hinges that I've painted, and that's because we've pushed the boat out and we've ordered a new seat. We've got the original one here, which wasn't in too bad a nick, and we managed to get a new old stock replacement cover set from Vale Onslow. But the seat pan is not very clever. So we've decided to go with a replacement seat. We'll see what it looks like when it gets here, from Shropshire Classic Motorcycles, and we'll sell, well, if I was Greg, I'll chat to him about it, I'd sell these two on, but we'll see what he says. Then we've got clips for the handlebar clips for electric cable restraint from the handlebar switches. We've got two new screws and washers for the rear brake light switch mounting. Decided to go to new clips for the engine breather. These go on the rear mudguard, engine breather guys. We've got the new short hose for the front hydraulic brake to go from the master cylinder down to the yoke. If you remember right, we'd been sent the long hose, which was wrong. We've got the bracket for the hoses that fits onto the mudguard stays. So this goes something like that. Whoops, it would help if you can see it. Something like that, and then this fits into it, and then this pipe can obviously fit into that. So that's good. And then finally, just in general, we've got some proper aluminium metal cable ties, which we'll need for the spine and for the wiring harness and all the cables and stuff, but also maybe for the front down tubes as well, the cables down there. And what I usually do with these is I cover them in shrink wrap first to try and prevent them cutting into cables and God knows what. So there we go. So let's have a look at the completion list, such as it is, and see where we're going to start. Right, attach rear brake light switch. Well, that's a nice easy one. Right, let me go and do that. So all I need are these, a screwdriver, because she's all ready to go. Here, cabled up, and we just have to fit on there. We might have to do a bit of adjustment afterwards, but just let's get her on. And that'll be one job out of the way, and we're on the way. Job done, straight on. So all we've got to do then is adjust the stop here on the rear brake lever, so that it comes on and off properly once we've got the battery connected up. That'll be one of the tests. Right. I need to find a pen to cross that off. Bingo. Next, attach wiring to ignition switch. All right, if you must. So that's these three here. So Rick and other people, don't be too worried about the fact these aren't necessarily quite the right colours, because we put extension cables on and didn't have necessarily the right ones. But anyway, these go onto the back of the ignition switch in there. So I'll probably lower the bike on the stand so we can actually look at it from above. Right, with the ignition switch, I've taken it off actually, because I did manage to wire it up okay, but I was making some assumptions, so I just want to check the wiring on the back. And it's a straightforward 2-position switch, 2 terminals on each side. And just to check continuity when it's switched on, we've got it. When it's switched off, can I do this with one hand? Oh, hang on a minute. No continuity, and when it's off I can take the key out, but I can't take it out when it's switched on. And I'm desperately trying now to put the key back in. There we go. Now I did find that it was a bit dicky and needed a bit of cleaning up actually. So I've given it a bit of use and put some WD in it, and it seems to have helped. I just can't. I can't twist it with one hand. But anyway, it's working. Let's just see if I can do it like this. Hang on a sec. Nope. Come on. He won't have it. No. So if I show you that, I'm trying to hold on to it here, but I can't. There we are, quarter of a turn, and there we go. We've got a meter reading. Right. Okay, so that means then that with respect to the 3 wires we've got, we'll put the live on one side, which is the equivalent of the white wire, and the other 2 on the other side, and that should be correct. Also, what I've managed to do is the switch was a little bit loose, so I've got a fibre washer just so we can get it a little bit tighter on there and stop the switch moving about if you're a bit vigorous with turning it on. Right, there we go, ignition switch in and a lot tighter, just with the addition of that fibre washer there. And if we can see the back of it down there somewhere, maybe we can do it from the bottom. Not really. Oh, there we go. There are your 3 wires, there, 3 spades. Okay, so that should be all right, subject to testing, of course. So that means another one off the list. Right, next. Fit front brake hydraulic lines and bleed. In fact, that's 2 actions on there, so we can get that done in one. Okie dokie. So we have got, where are we? Under here somewhere. There we go, let's unwrap that. And this is the short pipe, flex tube, that goes from the master cylinder here to that hole there in the top yoke, and underneath that there's a pipe, a metal pipe, which is in place, which we need to attach onto the other side. Right, so we'll unwrap that and start fitting that up. Right, there it is unwrapped. The short end goes into the master cylinder end. The long end is the end that goes through the top yoke, is anchored by a shake-proof and a locking nut, jam nut, whatever you want to call it. But then there's enough thread there to take the nut that attaches the flare on the next pipe onto that. So I'll show you once I get that installed in the top end. I don't know why, well, I was going to say this brake pipe came without any fasteners on it, but luckily I managed to get them off another one, and that had those on there. I have no idea why, because we're not sealing with copper washers at all. Right, we've got there, but what a pig that is. So got the top hose in fine. As you can see, I've removed the right hand clock to get in at this, but this pipe that goes across there, and then as you can see it goes down and across the other side. It's an absolute pig, but managed to catch it at last without damaging the thread. So this is done up nice and tight, but the other end I'm a bit dubious about, because I've got the lower flex pipe through its bracket on the back of this pinch bolt for the bottom yoke, and it's got its lock nut and shake-proof washer, and that's well tightened down. And I've now tightened up this flare nut, but it's I'm sure it's almost right down to that lock nut, so I'm not confident that that flare inside there is going to be making a liquid proof joint, and I don't know what to do about it. Oh, unless it's the wrong way around. That's what it is, isn't it? I've got the pipe the wrong way around, because this end here, I bet that's longer than the other end. Right, we'll take that off and let's have another look at that. See if they're different. God, this bike was sent to try us. Right. So there's the bottom flex pipe that I've just taken off just to compare the ends. And, you know, without getting too technical, I've measured these up. They're exactly the same. So that pipe wasn't on upside down. So then you go back to, you know, this is a new pattern pipe. And you think, well, the nuts must be too long, the flare nuts. So luckily, I've got an original in good condition. Can't see it too well there, but the flare nut is shorter. And if we compare, I don't think I can do this with one. Let me try and do it. If we compare the amount of thread on the original that we have to screw down before we get a union with the flare, and on the pattern nuts are too long, too much thread. So we're going to go to the original one, which is in good condition. So we'll try that one. And the other quick thing to mention, I need to correct myself. We do need a copper washer at this end because we are creating a seal there. Forgot about that. So ignore what I said before. We don't need one at this end where effectively we're just securing it to the top yoke, and similarly with this pipe at the bottom here, these nuts and apologies for that. The battery on the phone died, so the last clip was cut off. But that was quite a few days now, because in the intervening period I was working on the Hurricane, which is now done. But just picking up on that thread, I was just saying that securing this bottom pipe to its brackets doesn't need a copper washer, because we don't need a seal to connect them to the brackets. And in this case as well, with the bottom pipe, either side of it, we're attaching flares and flare nuts to it. So again, we don't need a copper washer. Now, as you can see, in the intervening period, I have connected everything up. And I think I mentioned that I'm not absolutely 100% certain that that's sealed, because this flare knot is, I think, is butting up against that lock nut on the bottom pipe. Now, we could get ourselves a little bit more room if we did away with that shape-proof washer. But anyway, we'll bleed it and test it first. It is tight, which obviously we've got to make sure we get a good seal. Right, so all I've done in the intervening period then between the last clip and this clip is I've just connected up, fully connected up all the pipes and hoses for the front brake. So that's ready for bleeding. But I'm not going to do that just yet, because there's something else I just need to finish off at the top end, which we should have done quite a long while ago, and that is we've got to replenish the oil in the front forks. And why we didn't do it earlier on, I've no idea, but if necessary, all I've got to do is just lift the top bars a little bit, get the fork top knot off, and we should be okay. So I'm going to get on with that now, because it's a job that needs to be done, and I've been putting it off and putting it off. And the reason why I've been putting it off is because we were waiting for new drain screws on the fork legs. Now, looking at what we've taken out, one definitely isn't original, but one of them, wrong washer, but probably is original. But anyway, we've got couple of new ones down here somewhere. Unless, of course, I've mislaid them, which I'm very good at doing at the moment. There they are. There they are. So we'll get the, we'll do one leg at a time so that the front end doesn't go down on us and disturb everything. And let me get on with that. So just a big, can't remember what size it is, but I've got an Allen key for that anyway to undo that. Somebody mentioned that what you can do as well is obviously undo the yokes and drop the stanchions down a little bit rather than take the bars off, but it's going to be easier in this case, I think, to do the bars. I've got plenty of access to them. So anyway, yeah, enough waffling, just get on with it. Well, that was pretty straightforward, to be honest, actually more straightforward than I thought it was going to be. So just undid the handlebar clamp, securing nuts, just to give us a bit of a play on the bars. It's just spun the master cylinder out of the way, and there was plenty of room for it to come out. The forks are on full extension at the moment, which is why the springs just there. But what we'll do is, I've had the drain screws out for a while now. I don't think there was any oil in them whatsoever. So we'll put a bit of ATF down there to make sure that oil is getting down there all right. And then we'll top it up to the requisite level. Give me a few minutes. I need to check what capacity they take. Is it 170 mil or something like that? Not very much. Anyway, I'll check. There's your answer. Duh. Right, 190cc it is. Right, there we go. So oil's flowing through all right. You can see that's clean oil, so we know we've got all the old, well, there wasn't any old oil in it, a few drops, that's all. So we'll let that all drain out. That'll put in just a flush through, and then we'll put the new drain screw in and put 190 mil in. Well, a couple of steps backwards, just tightening that up, and the top fractured. I mean, when this is a new one, pattern, substandard bloody casting, absolute bloody rubbish. Oh well, we won't be finishing that job today then, so I'll order another one of those. But at least we can get on with the other side. I have got the original one, but I'm not putting that back on. This is all right, but the top's damaged. It's been bashed around, and those threads are damaged there. And we had to buy new ones of these anyway, so I'm not using that. Let's get another one ordered up. Ah. Put the kettle on, another cup of tea. Right, we've got the requisite amount of oil in both forks. New drain screws, not leaking. Managed to get the fork top nut on this side on fine. Didn't crack at all. I mean, the other side I wasn't nipping up tight. It just went with a bit of a crack. So I'm not putting this lot back together until we get the new one. So we've got all the access to tightening up the handlebar clamps, etc., all that lot this side at the top here. So we'll leave that as is, and we'll go on to begin to bleed the front brake and paying, I say, close attention to that there. Front brake bled. It took a little while for it to begin to push the fluid through from the top, with it being a dry master cylinder, but we're all good now. And so far, believe me, that's not fluid, that's just shininess. Our joints are dry, so we'll keep an eye on those. But yeah, the brake feels nice. So we'll get the top on that before we spill any. And that's that job done. Right, back to the completion list. So fit front brake hydraulic lines, that's that done. Bleed front brake, that's that done. Trouble is, we've got to add something on the end here. What are we on now? 33. Order and fit new fork top nut. And then 34. Replace handlebars and clocks. Right, how are we doing? So we're going top to bottom on this list now for a change. Flush unit. I think I showed you the flush unit was in anyway, and what I've done as well is, so the flusher unit sits behind there. You can just about see it just there. So that's in. I've got the new tri-spark coils in, but we've got a little bit of a wiring job to do, but nothing spectacular. So we'll tackle that when we install the tri-sparks unit under the points cover plate here, and that's looks to be a fairly straightforward job. But we're probably going to do that last, to be honest. Right, going down. Right, fit main engine breather to mudguard. Right, let's get on with that. Okay, engine breather on and routed around the rear mudguard and secured by its four mounting clips, where we bought new ones to replace the old, but again it just wasn't easy because the clips weren't quite shaped properly to suit the curvature of the lateral curvature of the mudguard. And also I think what they've done with the screws and nuts that came with it is they were probably a pretty nice fit prior to plating, but then plated them and oh my god, they're pretty tight. And in fact this one really isn't that secure, but it's so bloody tight. The nut is on the screw itself. You wonder if it's the wrong thread, but anyway, we're on, and I had to run 2 or 3 of them down on the nuts in the vise first before I actually fitted them. But we're on and secure, and it looks pretty tidy, and obviously quite smart with the new clips. Right, let's see where we are, because this video is going to be pretty long with all these clips, but let's just do a quick resume of this, and then we'll probably call it a day, because there's a few other things that I've done properly. So what we've just done now, if I get my hands out of the way of the shadows, can't very well. Fit main engine breather, there we go, to mudguard, done that. Now then, we've got the electronic ignition to do. We've got a new seat to fit when it arrives. It's on its way. We did have one on order from Shropshire Classic Motorcycles, but then they came back to us and said they're out of stock. They've been in touch with their supplier stroke manufacturer, and they don't want to make any because there's not a big demand for them. But I found another one in Europe, so that's on its way. Now, paint tank badges. Well, I've done them. And you know what? Having looked at you know, some literature and stuff now, I'm not even sure we've done the right thing there, but I'm going to leave them now and we'll polish them up. And I think once we get them out in the light, they'll look all right. I remember them at the time. The US models definitely have the Triumph letters and flow line painted in. I thought I remembered from the time that the UK ones did too. And having looked at literature and stuff, then some are painted in and some are not, and God knows what. And I think, Rick, you said they probably weren't, but I've done them, and I think they look all right. They will do in the light anyway, or it's a bit dark here. But anyway, they're done. And it's easy enough to rectify, actually, if Greg wants to, because it's only a little tiny bit of paint, and that'll come off easy, I think, with probably just, you know, cellulose thinners. So we can cross that one off. Check all fitments, blah, 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 blah. Not yet, not until we've finished a bit more. Top up oils, tyre pressures. Now then, fit new fork drain plug screws. That's done. Over the page. Fit battery and check electrics. Well, the battery is ready to go, all charged up. The battery that was on it managed to charge up originally. It's holding its charge pretty well. The battery charger has done some tests on it and said it's okay. I think it's all right, so we'll give that a go. Drain, refill fork legs when drain screws have arrived. Well, we've done that. We haven't quite finished that off yet, but then I've added some actions at the end. Fit the number plate, polish up, control cables and clutch lever, order new fork top nut, replace the handlebars and the clocks, adjust the tappets and button up the rocker box covers. We've got that to do. So what we'll do is we'll leave this video here for now, and perhaps when the new fork top nut arrives, which I'll order now, then the next video might take it to completion, assuming we get the rear seat. So that's what we'll do. We'll leave this for now, leave it there, and we'll wait for the seat and the fork top nut to arrive, and then we'll have a day on it and go to completion, assembly wise. Haha. One other quick note, yeah, this speedo cable, I've been messing about with this a little bit, and I think I can do a bit of a route from one side to the other to take up the slack. I think it's 3 inches too long, but I think we can make that neat and tidy as it is. Right, definitely going to leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Thanks for your interest, comments and subscriptions, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.